The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and earth as I ventured deeper into the forest. I was miles from the nearest trail, a deliberate attempt to detach from the world and its incessant noise. Little did I know I was about to encounter a silence far more unsettling than any solitude could offer. It was nestled among the fallen leaves, a black rectangle that caught the sunlight just right to betray its presence. A cell phone. Curiosity, that primal instinct, nudged me forward. It was an older model, abandoned or lost by some unfortunate hiker. There was no harm in trying to find its owner, I reasoned. So I pocketed the device and continued my trek, the tranquility of the forest now tainted by the presence of this digital intruder. Back home, I connected the phone to a charger, not expecting much. To my surprise, it powered on immediately, greeting me with a wallpaper of an unfamiliar landscape. There was no lock screen, no request for a password. Whoever owned this phone had no concern for privacy, or perhaps they never had the chance to secure it. Driven by a mixture of intrigue and an unspoken obligation to return the phone, I began to sift through its contents. The contact list was empty, as were the messages and call log. It was as if the phone had been wiped clean, save for one exception, the photo gallery. The first few photos were innocuous, landscapes, a few blurry selfies in front of nondescript backgrounds, pictures of pets. But as I swiped, the images grew increasingly personal. Photos of a bedroom, taken from various angles, each one inching closer to the bed. My breath hitched when I realized the bed was unmistakably mine, draped in the familiar quilt my grandmother had made for me. Panic's icy fingers gripped my spine as I continued to swipe. The photos were time-stamped, each one documenting consecutive nights. There I was, asleep, oblivious to the voyeur lurking outside my window. The invasion of my privacy was methodical, almost ritualistic. But nothing prepared me for the final photo. It was me, earlier that day, bending over to pick up the phone in the forest. The timestamp confirmed it, but there, standing just behind me, was a shadowy figure. I had felt no presence, heard no sound, but there it was, an undeniable darkness that chilled me to the core. I rushed to the window, scanning the forest edge that bordered my backyard. The trees swayed innocently in the wind, offering no clues. The phone felt like a malevolent token in my hand, a link to something or someone who had been watching me, documenting me. Sleep was a stranger that night. Every creak and sigh of the house set my heart racing. The digital clock by my bed mocked me with its steady advance, a reminder of the hours spent in a vigil I hadn't chosen. The following morning, I debated my next steps. Going to the police seemed the logical choice, but what would I tell them? That a phone I found contained photos of me? That it somehow took a picture with me in it and a figure that wasn't there? I could imagine their skepticism, the disbelief. No, I needed more to go on, more evidence. I decided to return to the spot where I found the phone, foolishly hoping for some clue that would make sense of the situation. The forest seemed different in the light of day, shadows cast long and dark by the bright sun. Every snap of a twig underfoot sounded like a footstep following me. Reaching the spot, I found nothing but disturbed leaves and the indentations where I had knelt. No footprints, no signs of anyone else having been there. The isolation of the location struck me then. Why here? It was as if the phony had been left specifically for me to find. As I turned to leave, a chill ran down my spine. I felt watched. Scanning the trees, I saw nothing, but the sensation of being observed was palpable. Quickening my pace, I almost ran back to my house, the feeling of eyes on me only fading as I closed and locked my door behind me. I spent the day researching, trying to track the phone through its serial number, but it was as if the device had never existed. No records, no previous owner, nothing. It was a ghost, much like the figure in the photo. Nightfall brought an oppressive atmosphere to my home, Every shadow seemed to move, every light seemed to flicker. I double-checked the locks, closed the curtains, and tried to convince myself that I was safe. It was just a phone, just a photo, but the fear, once planted, grew roots. I awoke to the sound of my own heartbeat, loud in the silence of my room. The digital clock glowed 3 a.m., the witching hour. Then I heard it, a soft tapping at the window. Frozen, I stared at the curtains, praying for the sound to be a tree branch, anything but what my fear conjured. The tapping persisted, rhythmic and insistent. Gathering every ounce of courage, I moved to the window and yanked the curtains aside. Nothing. The night was still, the forest calm. Relief washed over me, followed immediately by a wave of foolishness. Of course, there was nothing there. As I turned back to my bed, the phone, which I had left on my nightstand, lit up. A new photo notification blinked on the screen. My hand trembled as I picked it up, the familiar swipe to unlock now a gesture of dread. It was a photo of me standing at the window, looking out. And there, reflected in the glass behind me, was the shadowy figure, closer than ever, its features obscured, but its intent unmistakably sinister. The phone slipped from my numb fingers as the realization hit me. It wasn't just watching, it was waiting. Waiting for what, I couldn't fathom, but I knew I couldn't stay to find out. I grabbed a few essentials, my keys, and fled my house. The place that had been my sanctuary, now a trap. I drove without direction, the night swallowing the road ahead. The fear of being followed gnawed at me, but every glance in the rearview mirror showed only the empty road. Eventually, I found myself at the police station, the very place I had hesitated to visit. The officers listened, their expressions a mix of concern and disbelief as I recounted my story and showed them the phone. They promised to investigate, to patrol my area more frequently. They advised me to stay with friends or family in the meantime. So, I left my home, my privacy violated, my sense of safety shattered. Days turned into weeks. There were no further incidents, no more photos. The police found no evidence of anyone lurking around my property, no traces of the mysterious figure. The phone itself became an object of curiosity, analyzed and then filed away as evidence of a harassment case that had gone cold. I wish I could say that was the end, that the fear eventually faded, leaving only a cautionary tale of curiosity and invasion of privacy. But every shadow still whispers to me of unseen watchers. Every unknown number that calls sends a jolt of fear through me. The forest, once a place of solitude and peace, now holds a sinister silence, a reminder that some things, once found, can never be unseen or forgotten.